Right, the last task is this problem over here, problem number 3. So let's have a look. It says write a program that will ask for the total bill at the restaurant and then the number of diners who ate that meal. It will then work out how much each person should pay for an equal share of the meal. Okay, fine. Again, let's do the same thing like we were doing before because it helps, I think. I won't do it for future problems unless they're really long and they really need it. Okay, but you get the point of doing this. I think it does help. Okay, so write a program that will ask for the total bill at the restaurant. So that's the first thing. So display what is the total of your bill? Something like that. Okay. And then the number of diners who ate the meal. Display how many diners are there. I've missed something out here, haven't I? I have to take in the total value and store in variable total or whatever. Let's just do small caps. Okay, display how many diners are there, take in the total number of diners and store in variable or in the variable, I'm just being quick, let's just call it diners to be super clear. Don't make things like too complicated or whatever, just keep it simple, keep it straightforward. Okay, it will then work out how much each person should pay for an equal share of the meal. Okay, so how do we work out how much each diner should pay? Knowing that we are working out the total, or we are getting the total, and then we know how many diners there are. So what operation do we use? Do we use plus, minus, times, divide? We use divide. So work out the amount each diner should pay by, let's say, calculating, we can just call it amount. So this is the variable amount, and this will be done by the total divided by the number of diners. Okay, so these are variables that have already been declared beforehand and a value has been assigned to them. So because they've already been introduced before in the program, we can calculate the amount in Python by referring to them because they've already been calculated or assigned before in the program. If you didn't have these and you were suddenly trying to do this and Python has no idea what total is and what diners is, it won't work. Pay by, I've just realized it says here. Anyway. Okay, so work out the amount each diner should pay by calculating amount, which is total, and then divided by, so that's divided by diners. Okay, anything else? It doesn't say it here, but the input and output should be user-friendly. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's move this to the side, and let's go ahead and make a new program, new file, and write this program. Right, so let's start off by saying, what is the total of your bill? Question marks, speech marks, lovely. Then what do? We have to request the actual input coming in from the user using the program. Now, because it doesn't specifically say this is an integer value, we know it might not be an integer value. It might be something like 255 dirhams 0.5 or something. So this is not an integer value. This is a decimal value, but it's also known as a float value, float. So when we are assigning a value via input to the variable total, instead of doing int, we're going to type float, float. So float, open bracket, input, that, okay? So what is the total of your bill? And then they will actually go ahead and put in the amount. That was the total of their bill. You can actually not have this print statement and just put this question inside here. You can do that. So go ahead and do that. I'm just going to leave it like this, and I might change it after, just so you can see that it works in two different ways. Okay. So after they give the number, the number that's needed, the float number that's needed for total, what do we do next? We ask how many diners there are. So again, you can do this the same way, or if you're confident in putting in the question within the input function, go ahead and do that. This way that I'm doing, it might be a little bit longer, but it's easier to understand because it's in chunks. It's in like bite-sized portions. It's one clear thing after the other, okay? So what is this? So how many diners are there? How many diners are there? And so you can't have a float number of diners. This is just going to be an integer value, right? So let's go ahead and say diners equals the integer input to whatever the question might be that's just been asked. Again, if you want to put this question with the speech marks, if you want to put that question here, you can do that. It will work, and then therefore you don't need this line, okay? But like I said, I'm doing this so you can see it more clearly, okay? It's in like bite-sized portions. It's one statement after the other, like here, okay? Right, moving on. Work out the amount each diner should pay by calculating total divided by diners, which will give you the amount. Okay, so last thing is making a new variable, a final variable called amount, and I am simply going to do total divided by diners. Make sure you spell it exactly the same, otherwise it doesn't work. Otherwise, if you did diner, Python will be looking for diner and it's not been declared anywhere before. Python's not clever. It won't figure out that, oh yeah, they spelt with an S there, so I'm just going to assume it's that. No, it doesn't do that. It's going to look for an exact match, okay? So make sure you spell it exactly the same. And then I'm just going to print an output, spell it right. How about that? Print the output, the total amount to pay per diner is, and then maybe you can do something like AED just to make it more user friendly. Let me just put it there, and then I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to have the amount, which is there. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Let's see what that looks like. Let's run it. Okay, let's go and just click on this and then just change the file name to 3. This is problem number 3. Right, okay, so what is the total of your bill? 750.5, why not? How many diners are there? Well, it was an expensive restaurant. There was actually only 2 of us anyway. 2. The total amount to pay per diner is, and then it gives you AED 375.25. Okay, so that's worked fine. If you want to move AED to the other side, I think you know what you would need to do. Let me just show you in case you're not sure. I would have the amount there, followed by another string with just AED in it. So the total amount per diner is the amount that's been calculated, followed by AED. Let's see what that looks like. What is the total of your bill? I'm just going to say 1,000 dirhams this time. How many diners are there? 4. The total amount to pay per diner is that much. Okay, so that might be easy to read. Okay, I'm just going to X that now. What I'm going to do is just change this so it actually looks like a shorter program, but it's actually doing the same thing. But in terms of number of lines, it is shorter. So where it says print, what is the total of your bill? I'm just going to cut that and I'm going to put it inside this input statement here, and therefore I can get rid of this. Okay, I'm going to do the same to this. Just get that, cut it, go to input, paste it there, and just get rid of that. So now I've just got 4 lines instead of 6. Let me run that and let me show you what difference this has made. What is the total of your bill? Oops, let me just move that here. Can you see the difference? When I had my print statement followed by my input statement separately, the input was being requested on a separate line. That's really the only difference, and that actually might be considered more user-friendly. But if you're interested in having a shorter program and all of that, then you can have that within, okay? So you can see here my cursor is flashing here because it's all in one line. Okay, and it still works the same. How many diners are there? Let's say 2. the amount to pay is that much. That's fine. So you might think, well, it's a bit more difficult to read, and what would happen if I did a space first and then I ran it? What would happen then? Would it mess things up? Well, let's have a look. Does it mess things up? Let me do a space and then do like 500. How many diners are there? There's 2. Okay, it still works and fine. Sometimes it might cause a problem when you do enter. So think about what works better. If you do think, no, you know what, I want to keep my print, it looked better, let me do it for diners. Let me just show you the difference. So print this statement here rather than having it within the input. Here we go. And let's see the difference from when you're requested to put in the total to when you're requested to put in how many diners. So let's run that. Okay, so what is the total of your bill? 500. How many diners are there? So it's on the next line. So it might be more user friendly. So think about what you could do. What should you do? Our programs are not that long, so it really won't, increase the file size ridiculously if you have 2, extra lines or whatever. Yeah. As an extension task, if you're on it and you're up for it, figure out how to maybe just limit this to, like, I don't know, 2 decimal places or whatever, if you can, because some of you might be looking at this going, oh, that's so long and inconvenient. So anyways, if you want to figure it out, you go ahead and figure it out. Otherwise, that's the end of problem 3. Make sure your evidence is being collected in terms of screenshots, and then the whole thing should be uploaded to the lesson 2 assignment. If you have done those 3 tasks, that is good, okay? Otherwise, you need to be trooping on, especially if you've been finding it quite easy. You need to be trooping on to the continued exercises for Python, okay? For this, I may have time to record tutorials, I'm not sure, but ask me questions if you are having any problems with these, and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, good luck.